Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Roundtable podcast, the first of the season for Big Brother 28. This is the podcast where we talk about everything going on the feeds for the season, and we rate the players from 1 to 10 based on how well we think they are doing in the game. We also rate all kinds of things. We rate things, we rank things, we talk about who's the most popular, who's the least popular. We do all kinds of fun stuff here on the Roundtable podcast. I'm your host, Taran Armstrong, and joining me, as always, Melissa. How you doing, Melissa?
I'm doing great. I'm very excited for our first Roundtable. This is I'm just excited to get into it. I feel like the first couple of Roundtables are always really strange because there's just too many people, but it's still fun to talk about everyone.
Yes. We are going to try. We're going to try. There's 17 people to talk about. We're going to try to keep it as tight as we can, getting through all 17. But with us to do that is Aysha this week. How you doing, Aysha?
Hello, I'm doing great. I missed Big Brother, so I'm so excited that we're back for a new season. I will say that I was out of town for work, so I missed the premiere live. And then I called my girlfriend and I said, hey, how was the premiere? She's like, well, I thought Rachel was going to come in the house, but then a dinosaur came in and threw her in some lava. And I was like, what are you saying right now? Like, for someone that has watched this silly show for so long, that took the cake. But now the feeds are on. We're consuming all this stuff, trying to make sense of everything. I'm really enjoying it.
I personally can't imagine why you would be confused about that. But yes, we are here. We are, still less than a week in since the premiere and only a few days into the feeds. But that does not mean that we can't make all kinds of judgments, fair and not, about the season, the players, and everything that is happening here. So, first of all, Aysha, I would love to get your thoughts, your general thoughts on the season. I feel like we haven't heard from you yet.
Yeah, I'm soaking it in. Like right now, it feels like you showed up at a party where like one person invited you to, but there's like 200 people there. So you're like trying to feel it out. We're still in that first like 30 minutes of being at this party where you're trying to figure out, okay, where do I really want to like settle in for the night? Who's cool? Who's talking about something that I'm interested in? I'm still just kind of wandering around. I don't really know where I want to land. And that's how I feel with these people, where it's kind of like, because they're all still commingling, we have some names of alliances and stuff, but there's nothing like set in stone. And it's so hard to know how people truly feel about the first HOH because they're HOH. So you really don't know where people are like, I don't know, where their heads really are. So I might argue that this is the hardest roundtable of the season because we're just like, hey, throwing things at the wall to see what sticks. But I'm enjoying it because it's Big Brother. But am I just like, oh my gosh, this cast is amazing. They're incredible. They're top notch. I can't feel that way yet because I'm still getting to know these people.
Yes, it is, I think, the hardest roundtable of the season. It's hardest to rate the players. That said, somebody did send me some, and I did not double check this math, but somebody sent me some math recently that actually said that our week 1 stock watch ratings exactly correlate to average placement on the season, meaning the higher the rating, the further their average placement is on the season through the last, whatever, how many seasons we've done of this, like at least 10, right? Or close, maybe not quite 10 actually, but so pretty good. There is one exception, and that's if they were given a 1 in week 1, and that's primarily because there haven't been many 1s given out in week 1, and Vince was one of them.
Vince
making it to the final 2 kind of through that one. Kelly also was one of them last season. So the 2 of them really like messed with that one. But other than that, pretty good.
How did Ashley do last? I mean, because that was a whole shower gate week 1.
It was. That is a good question. Let me dig into the historical record.
Maybe.
I will get back to you on the answer to that. In the meantime, Melissa, how have your feelings been on the season so far?
I feel like I'm excited about the season. It's always tough the first week, like, because there's not much happening. It's a lot of just general conversations and trying to like glean whether or not they're going to be a good player just by how they do in a social setting versus how they're actually gaming. Just because most of the time, we say, oh, you don't want to game too early, you don't want to go in too hard too fast. So a lot of people kind of hold back that first week. And of course there's strategy, of course there's alliances being made and things like that, but you don't truly get into like the meat of the season until like midway through, or even like maybe a few weeks in or something. But 1 week, it's really hard to get a read on a lot of people. And not only that, but there's only so many conversations I can watch. I can't watch every single conversation every single day. And so
Why not?
I know, right? I wish. You just kind of have to pick and choose which conversations are like interesting to you or who you want to learn more about, and you kind of follow those people along. But it's so hard because you can't get to know everyone all at once. And so I feel like a lot of personalities are going to really come through, but we just don't know it yet. So I'm excited to see where it goes, but I'm enjoying the feed so far. I'll say that.
All right. Well, let's get into it then. There's plenty to get to. We have a survey that we send out every week. Make sure you fill it out if you want to have your voice heard. I do want to try to get the survey filled out prior to the podcast starting as much as possible this season. So make sure you get it in there if you want to get your vote in. But we ask all kinds of questions, including, rank the players from your favorite to your least favorite, rating the episodes, the feeds, the season, the HOH train. I'm also now including a rating of production themselves, which we started doing last season, and all kinds of other fun stuff. But I want to try to give a good, sort of baseline level of like where things stand in the house as much as possible. So in order to do that, let me pull up the thing I pulled
I was
up
just about to say, I loved what
night.
you showed on the episode recap last night. That was crystal clear.
Let me see if I can bring that up again. I actually, where did it go? Well, while I try to pull this up, because it's currently not working in the same way that it worked beautifully last night, we do have, of course, an HOH, and that is Dee. Dee had nominated Mallory, Taylor, and Yash for eviction. We've seen all of this in the episodes. But what we have not seen is the veto situation. And that is a quite interesting situation, because somebody who was on the block went ahead and won the veto for the third time in a row with the blockbuster in play. We have a veto winner that is in fact a nominee, and that veto winner is in fact Mallory.
Props to her.
Yes. Mallory, of course, plans to use the veto on herself. Would be a bit silly if that were not the case. And so the question was, who's going to be the replacement for Mallory? And despite some indication that it could go one way, could go another way, who really knows, it really did land on Ashley as the replacement, primarily because she was part of the final grouping that Dee talked about. Basically, Dee had decided to pick one person from each group who competed to bring in the vets. Normally, I would say you could watch the roundtable and probably be fine without seeing the episodes, but there's a lot of context setting in these first few episodes that probably need to be seen. And ultimately, the final grouping was Ashley and Barrett, who had failed the initial part of the competition to bring the vets in. and therefore were part of their own like grouping of their own. And so obviously Dee was not going to nominate Barrett because she is currently in a secret alliance with him. Therefore, Ashley did in fact become the replacement nominee just earlier today. So our final nominations are currently locked: Ashley, Mallory, and Ashley, Taylor, and Yash. How do you feel about this, Aysha?
You know, it's interesting because I feel the way that it was painted on the episode, which I was hoping the episode was going to give us so much clarity, because, you know, we were hearing what the reasoning was for these noms, but we weren't totally sure what the real reason was. And it just seemed like because these three were not a part of either the crossover or the red corner, it was just, you know, just easy to kind of throw them up. But I was wondering if outside of that, like, were there other reasons? Like, was there a reason that even within Dee's reasoning of these three groupings, why, like, let's say she picked, you know, Taylor over somebody else or Yash over somebody else? Like, we don't know.
Yeah. Well, I think with Taylor, it becomes obvious. We kind of talked it through last night, where it's like with Taylor, it's that she was in the group with Chuck and Haley and Drew, and so Chuck was safe from winning the competition. Drew is in the alliance, and Haley is in the other alliance.
Yeah.
And so with Taylor, it sort of defaulted to Taylor. Then with Mallory, she was in the group with Rome and
Lyric.
Was Lyric in that group? I think she was, potentially. And then the final person in that group was somebody.
I'm just thinking
Honestly, I wish I could help you. I'm
Camus and Lala, of course. So it was Mallory, Camus, Lala, Rome. Rome was safe. Camus was in the alliance. She didn't want to nominate Lala. And then in Jason's group, where Jason won, which was her group, it was himself, Yash,
and
some
Melody,
yeah,
and
Melody,
Lyric.
Okay.
So I feel like Camus had like totally sane logic there, where he was like, why nominate someone from your own group? Why not just nominate one? Like, say, I can't feel good about nominating someone who helped me get HOH, so I'm going to go target one of the two people that didn't win. And I totally get she doesn't want to nominate Barrett because he's her ally, but I feel like Ashley could have been an easy person to put up in this situation and be in the good graces of the people who were in her group. And then, you know, if there is a replacement nominee, say, okay, you know, now I have to move on and I'm going to put someone up from the group, but I don't want to. Like, why not initially do it?
It seems as though we missed some of it in the episode, but that they had agreed upon these nominations in their like coming together of the Crossovers Alliance thing. And primarily because I would assume that Yash was maybe even an early idea for a potential target, just somebody that they hadn't connected with. I'm not entirely sure, but I think that they came up with the idea of one from each group early on and decided on the names that then came from that, which all kind of lined up with something that worked. And then when Camus came up with the opposing argument that was a decent opposing argument, which is like, you shouldn't nominate somebody from your own group, it was kind of a little too late. And that could also make some sense, because if you say that you want to nominate somebody that is not from your initial group, then it has to be for sure either Barrett or Ashley. And then you have to defend why it's not Barrett, which is a little more heat than you might want. Ultimately, they did have to do that, which they might have been able to see coming. But I kind of agree ultimately, like, you know, ideally you don't want to nominate into your group, but if you say my group is safe, I'm going to go into the Barrett Ashley side of things, and then Mallory wins the veto. Now what? Right? Like you're maybe starting to get a little bit trapped. And in addition to that, yes, as the chat is pointing out, Ashley said that she did not want to, or sorry, Dee said that she did not want to nominate all 3 women as her 3 nominees. So she wanted to find a man to nominate, and there weren't many men available that weren't already in some kind of alliance with her.
Okay. That checks out. Yeah, it's just always like, okay, you don't ever have really strong reasons for these week 1 noms. And so I was just wondering, especially when it comes to thinking about Dee's rating, you know, how okay is she going to be going into week 2? You know, I know she has these 2 alliances, but are people going to want to try to retaliate? But if everyone in the house sees this as like a fair way to go about it, then she's probably fine.
Yeah, I mean, it seems to have worked out for her well so far. The main thing here is that Dee has pretty successfully pawned this off. Even the most fervently anti-vet voices in the house in Jason and Lala right now are more concerned with Devens and Angela than they are with Dee. Now, this is likely to some degree an inevitability of her position. The fact that she is the HOH gives her a lot of leeway for this kind of thing. But we'll see what happens when she's not in power. She has made some moves here or there that could be a little risky. So it'll be interesting to see what happens, especially if the crossover alliance, crossovers alliance does not win power in the next round. So yes, I'm curious to see for sure. Let me see if I can pull this up. That's pretty close. It's pretty close to what I was looking at before. It's a little bit off, but you know, we're gonna make do, and I'm gonna make this bigger on the screen, something like that. How's this for the audience if you're watching along visually? So I had kind of placed this last night in terms of like where people stood in general. Kamu, Haley, and Chuck here at the top. They are in the Red Corner Alliance. They are in that alliance with Dee and Devens. And they have since, by the way, recruited Angela to their alliance, but Angela is supposed to not know about Dee and Devens to some degree. Of course, we know the reality is that Angela is actually with Dee and Devens alongside Drew and Barrett in the Crossovers Alliance. So that's going pretty well for them. Drew has Melody pretty closely linked to him. They've got a bit of a like final 2 good relationship going on. Barrett has since started to try to recruit Mallory. Drew is working on his relationship with Mallory. So Mallory is becoming more and more kind of inundated into this kind of crew, though she also has a good working relationship with Angela. And she still does want to target Dee if she can help it. But luckily, with all of these other connections, luckily for Dee, I would say, she's being pointed more so at Haley, Kamu, Chuck, and those people. So that's kind of where that's going. Ashley has been renommed and actually does not have much support. She's had a little bit of support from people like Melody, but not much, as Melody and Mallory and Lyric are already talking about like, maybe we keep Taylor over her. We're not entirely sure. Then we have this grouping here: Rome, Jason, Latrice, aka Lala. This is Mama's Angels. Lyric, of course, in a showmance with Rome is pretty closely attached. Mallory still does have a relationship with Lyric, as does Melody. Lala has Taylor pretty close to her. And Yash thinks that he kind of fits into this group, but he doesn't really, and he remains a pretty big target in the house. Jason thinks he's recruited Drew and Melody into this like Jester, whatever it's called, alliance. But the reality is that Drew has already ratted them out, and this is going to be in tomorrow's update, to Devens, Dee, Angela, etc. So that's not going to work out well for Jason. And that's the general idea of things.
Yep.
It's a lot going on that can actually be completely shattered going
Court
into next
Jesters
week.
is the name. Thank you.
Court Jesters. That's
Jester
wild.
something.
In terms of the vote, we are still honestly a bit early. There's been contrasting opinions on whether Yash should go. Yash leaving if he stays in the block is probably the most consensus pick right now. There's been a bit of movement more and more toward Ashley leaving over Taylor, but it's not like 100%. People do keep changing their minds here and there. But I do think that it's kind of looking like Yash, Ashley, and then Taylor's safe in terms of the target priority. So we will see what happens there. But yeah, it's a very strong structure for the crossovers. They are very well connected and insulated. What I will say is, I mentioned this morning, Angela actually doesn't love Drew. She doesn't love Drew. He reminds her a little too much of Quinn. He's young. He doesn't have the greatest bedside manner. He had a conversation with Dee earlier today that it was pretty awkward. They just kept like not communicating well. Stuff like him asking her how she feels about Haley. She's like, I don't like Haley. And he goes, oh, really? Why? And she explains she doesn't like Haley. She goes, so you like Haley? And he goes, no, I hate Haley too. I feel the same way. And she's like, oh, well, it just felt like, why didn't you say so? He's, oh, I didn't want to say it before you said it. I don't know how you felt about her. She's like, you can tell me whatever. And they kept kind of going back and forth like that. When they talked about the vote with Taylor, he kept like doing the same thing where he asks her why she holds an opinion in a way that makes it seem like he doesn't hold that opinion. And then after she gives him the reason, he replies with, oh, that's how I feel too. So, a little bit of this is Drew's fault, but Angela has already talked with Dee about not really super trusting Drew. When Drew went and ratted everything Jason said out to Angela and Devens this morning, Angela was really hurt because Jason dropped a lot of stuff about how he fake cried to Angela and then went to the camera and was like, oh. And Angela was pissed. She was like, motherfucker. That Jason, he really got me. No, that was not a low budget movie. And she was really hurt by this because she thought she had a really good relationship to Jason. And ultimately, being the deliverer of bad news like that is not the best place to be. Angela later expressed some doubt over Drew's information to Devens. And that's, I think, because she doesn't love Drew. And it was information she didn't want to believe. We'll sort of see where that goes. She said part of why she felt some doubt was that she felt like Drew told Dee a different story. But I think that's primarily because Drew just didn't have much of a chance to give Dee all of the information. And Devens, in that conversation as well, as a brief one, seems to be like, I don't think Drew would make that up, but I guess let's talk to Dee. We'll see what happens with that. But either way, so more potentially brewing with Angela and Jason. Jason already, by the way, talking about how he's feeling a different energy from Angela today. So watch out for that as well.
It's information. Everyone says information is currency. And I feel like I don't think it's a great move for Drew to just be like, hey, I'm just going to tell them like something that's a little hurtful too, not just a game thing. It's more just like, oh yeah, he was making fun of you when you thought you were comforting him. Like that's not really game related. It just kind of makes you feel like used or feel bad or feel icky. And I feel like that's just not useful information in this moment. Like maybe if they were trying to figure out a replacement nominee and it's like, okay, well, who should we put up? And then it's like, well, I actually know that Jason was doing, this, that, and the other thing, and he's not really into you. I've been loving, let me just preface with, I've been loving what Drew has been doing in the house. And I actually find him very fun to watch. And so like, this isn't necessarily a knock on Drew's gameplay as a whole, but it just feels like you said, like, you know, if you're delivering information that's bad, you still think about the person who told you that information. And especially if it's information you don't want to believe, you're kind of like, well, can I trust this person? Now it kind of brings into doubt whether or not you can trust this person. Is this person just saying this information to make you feel bad? Like, what is going on here? So it just feels like, I don't know if that, and also it's Angela, like, I don't know if that's the right person to give like emotional information like that too. So it's kind of a tough spot, and I hope it doesn't come back to bite Drew.
See, that's the thing. I do love that he immediately told her, only because in that situation of, okay, we start debating who's going to go up in the future, and then that's an opportunity to drop that information.
Then you say it. Yeah.
Then you say it, and then Angela is the type of person to be like, what? Why would you hold on to something like that? You should have told me. So now I am sus of you because you knew that would be information that I wouldn't like, and we're supposed to be aligned. But I feel like this is just brewing. Like, we are going to get an Angela versus Jason, and Jason is not Matt. So I am so curious how this is going to play out, because he's not going to back down. It's going to be a situation where I think that's where lines are going to be drawn. And I think it's going to happen sooner rather than later. And I think right now it's only not happening because Jason is safe. And it's like, okay, let these things play out. We'll see who gets HOH. But I don't think Angela is going to be able to hold her tongue past like the next HOH. And so I'm really interested to see that. That'll be the drama Dee has been waiting for.
Yeah, it's interesting, and the question of like what to do is pretty interesting for Drew here. Obviously, he does need to tell her, but it's tricky to find the time and the place that suits him the best. The fact that Angela might have a strong emotional reaction because it's emotional information. Is bad for him in general. Even if Angela takes it in and is appreciative, the fact that Angela is already acting different around Jason is bad for Drew in terms of keeping his spot hidden. The fact that Jason has been talking about Angela for days, and then the second he tells Drew, all of a sudden Angela seems to know that something is up, could really not only blow up Drew's spot, but really like the entire chain of connections to uncover that entire alliance. So this is a very tricky situation to be in. And you really ideally have to like drop it in the most kind of controlled environment. And so I think that Drew had a lot of urgency to get to Devens quickly, because the information that Drew had about Jason for Devens was not only that that Jason is targeting Devens, but that Jason plans to cook him some like slop cupcakes for his children's birthday,
like
daughter's birthday,
treats.
And like is doing so in a game way to try to like trick Devens into thinking that he's with him. And he's like, I wanted to tell you beforehand so you knew like I wasn't making it up. Like I have this information that he's going to do this. And to be fair to Drew as well, like he has very specific information about like the conversation Jason had with Angela. He wouldn't know the details about what Jason told Angela and then the turning of the camera unless Jason told him about that conversation, which Angela probably should realize, but maybe in the moment again is kind of just hoping it's not true. But the main thing here is that maybe he does need to kind of like just wait a little bit, maybe wait toward like the end of the night. Like, hey, this is big information I have to drop on you. And, you know, it was also a thing that happened in the hot tub room. So there were people kind of coming in and out and he couldn't stay there long. So he just kind of dropped it on them and then left. And, you know, ideally you want to stick around to kind of like soften the emotional blow as much as possible. It's a tricky spot in general. And I think it's interesting to kind of examine what are the ways to try to prevent something like this from happening if something does end up going wrong. But But ultimately, we are where we are with it, and we'll see if the drama does end up coming.
It's so tough because it's also like, it's like on the one hand, it's very important to tell your allies everything that's important for them to know and be very open with them and blah, blah, blah. But on the other hand, it's like very important that when people give you information, you keep that information for yourself in certain moments, because that's, I mean, if somebody trusts you enough to give you information, like, you want to be able to like show that their trust was founded by keeping that information. And if Jason finds out that Drew is the one who's sharing all this information, I mean, Jason's automatically going to be like, okay, yeah, no, can't trust that guy. So I feel like it's a very strange balance that you have to walk, where it's like, I want to keep their trust by keeping the information and at the same time giving certain information to my allies so that they know that I'm trustworthy. And so it's like how much goes through the sieve or whatever, it's like, do you let it all go through and everything that you get told you tell directly to your allies so that you can come across as trustworthy, or do you keep some information to yourself and potentially have your allies be like, hey, why didn't you tell me this? So it's a very hard balance.
It would be very funny if Angela was reminded of Quinn with Drew, and then Drew got in trouble for sharing information with allies he was genuinely super loyal to.
Right.
Because that is pretty Quinn of him. So, all right. Before we get to the survey stuff, Melissa, anything you wanted to chat about?
I will say, I mean, we can talk about this when we talk about the players, but I just will say that there have been certain people that I've been very impressed with, or people that I wasn't necessarily sure of in the draft or, previously. And now I'm kind of feeling very interested in them or a lot better about them. I feel like, first of all, we already discussed this, but Drew, I am enjoying watching Drew on the feeds, and I feel like he's a fun and exciting character. And also, does a better job in conversations than I was anticipating. I was worried that he was going to kind of just be this showboaty, like, hey, everyone look at me kind of guy. But I feel like he can connect really well with Barrett, and I really like to see their conversations together. And it seems like people want to work with Drew and aren't, in the premiere episode when Melody was annoyed with him, I was like, uh-oh, is this going to be like the through line is that Drew's just this annoying guy that no one wants to talk to. And it turns out that's not the case. I think he's doing a really great job of kind of like acting like a little brother to people that would appreciate that, like Rome or whatever, and then acting like a confidant to Barrett and like, hey, we're in this together. We think the same way. And then also kind of, being a good ally with like the Dee and Angela Devens group. I feel like he's doing a very good job. The other person I've really been appreciating is Taylor. I've been really enjoying her. I find her really fun to watch on the feeds. I think her conversations are great. She's funny. And I've been really enjoying her. It's hard to kind of see. It's hard to know like how she'll play in the game because she's kind of playing in a bad spot right now. So it's like she's on the block, she's tired, whatever.
She's a have-not.
She's a have-not. So it's like she's not in her best state, but I still am really enjoying her. And then I'm really enjoying Barrett. I was worried that he might come across as like, oh gosh, the super fan, the annoying super fan, like archetype that we always see. And that's not him at all. I feel like he's very laid back and very fun and very like, has good conversations. It seems like a very chill guy. So, and especially, I mean, obviously the cam talks, I love that sort of thing. And it seems like he's really got the game like in his head. So he knows what's going on in the house. And so I have been really liking all these characters a lot. So, well, characters, people, whatever.
Yes. Aysha, how about you? Any thoughts?
Well, since you're so fresh off of watching every episode of Love Island, I feel like you're dying to talk about the Showmances. Am I wrong?
Taran's like, I've actually been loving the Showmance.
Lyric in Rome,
Hey, I mean, do we have one on the horizon with Dee and Barrett, or is that?
I was wondering. I was like, whoa! I saw people talking about that, and I was like, is that happening?
I think that it's still early days to be forecasting that one personally, but
it was funny in his cam talk when he was like, "I cannot believe I'm in a flirtmance with Dee from Survivor." So funny.
Meanwhile, Lyric and Rome are basically already like married in the house. Like
she said like, "Oh, I can't, like, why can't we just get out of here and get like hurry to get to know each other?"
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like,
it's so strange.
Girl, you're here to play the game. I get it.
On your bingo card, you have "I'm the real winner because of X." Expect it from one of the two of them if they get evicted. Like, I'm the real winner because I found Lyric and/or Rome.
Right.
Oh no.
I mean, they are. I would say that they are like an attractive couple together. But I feel like they've completely lost the plot. So it'll be very interesting to see, okay, is this going to be something that's going to last? Like, are they the next showmance that's going to last outside of this house? Or is one of them going to go out next week or the next week? And then we're going to have to hear about how much the other misses the other one because they never got to see any other side of their relationship besides this honeymoon stage that they're in.
Well, let's see. In Love Island style, let's take a look at like what's the popularity like for these people?
Oh.
Who's the most popular in this house? Are Rome and Lyric popular? I'm curious to know.
Question
for sure.
It's an interesting question who's number one because I feel like it's got to go to a vet or not a vet, whatever. They're not vets.
An icon.
An icon.
Come on.
It has to go to one of them probably. I bet it's probably Dee because she's having a lot of airtime, screen time, whatever, because of the HOH thing, and people are watching her a lot because of that. And she's doing a good job. And she had a cam talk where she was like, I can't believe people are buying that they think I'm all dumb. And I have to go be fake to them because I don't want to have to talk to these people, like, whatever. And I thought that was it's fun to see stuff like that because it's like, a lot of people were speculating like, oh, is she actually with Kamu and Haley? Like, what's going on here? I can't believe it. I wouldn't expect Dee to be with these people. And then she goes and like clarifies in the cam talk, like, yeah, no, I'm not. So I feel like that was fun.
Yeah, and I feel like we got that context too, and she released a video after already being in the house about the fact that she watched 2 seasons of Big Brother.
Yeah.
So we know she has, she knows how the game works, but we kind of can see.
Funny.
Like,
it's funny because people were saying like, oh, I'm sure she did her homework. And I'm like, okay, 2 seasons is like not really doing your homework, but okay. Like that's like nothing, but at least it's not, it's like fine. Better than totally nothing, but
I mean, it's triple the amount of episodes as Survivor. So like, I think it's a little bit harder to do the homework. It's like 30 plus episodes.
Yeah, no. There's a lot of
All
hours.
Right, Aysha, what's your official guess? You also on D?
I'll give it a different answer. I'll say Angela.
Shouldn't have gone a different answer. It is in fact D. Number one, by a margin, at least. Not like a huge one, but out there in front is D. But who's number 2?
That's tough. I think like maybe Devens, or maybe if we're going into newbies, like maybe Barrett. I feel like a lot of people are really liking him, but probably Devens because he's more well known.
See,
here's what I think we should do. I think I'm gonna give you a yes or no question. Do you think, because this has been theorized by the chat, do you think that the top 5 players are all 5 crossovers?
Yes.
Oh, Barrett, Drew. Yes.
You are correct.
Yeah.
With that in mind, give me 2, 3, 4, and 5.
I think it's Devens, Angela, Barrett, Drew, or something. Honestly, no, you know what? I'm not going to do that because no, Taran's face is making me think I should keep that answer. Okay, I'll keep that answer.
Yeah, I'll go Angela, Devens, Drew, Barrett.
Angela, Devens, Drew, Barrett. Neither of you were quite there.
Okay, wait, let me do my other answer that I was going to say. I was going to say Devens, Angela, or no, sorry, Devens, Barrett, Angela, Drew.
That one is closer, but you've swapped two, I believe there. It is Angela in second place.
Okay.
Then by the smallest of hairs of a margin, Barrett in front of Devens. And then Drew.
Yeah, okay. So I had a few.
Yes.
But yeah, no, okay. I wasn't sure about Angela just because I know that, like, I mean, obviously, like, the people who are taking this survey are not going to be like the casuals, but I know that there are some people who are not casuals who don't like her. So that's why I was thinking, like, maybe.
So then we have the rest of the cast, and let me tell you, it's a massive margin.
Oh, wow.
Huge.
It's a very large margin. It is the 5 up in front and then a huge section of people behind. And I do have an image I can try to show you to illustrate this. Give me one moment here. Do you see this?
If I was an
make it
ant,
bigger.
probably.
Let me make it bigger. This is
oh wow, that's a huge drop.
This is like visualized where they fall on the list.
People don't like Yash. I didn't realize that.
I feel like a lot of that is skewed from the research from his like social media.
Oh, does he? Okay, yeah.
I mean, it's just like the cringy like TikTok.
I didn't watch anyone's cringy TikToks. I'm not on TikTok, so I'm behind on that. Okay, because in the house, I feel like he's like fine. Honestly, Rome in the house is kind of a fun character aside from the showmance thing, but only because like I just don't really like watching that. But unless I do like it, then I do like it. But in this situation, I don't. I'm very fickle with that. I'm surprised Taylor's so low. I've been enjoying watching her.
Yeah, I mean, so basically what you can see here is that Ashley is in 6th place, a large way behind the crossovers. But in 6th place there, followed by Jason in 7th place. And then Lala in 8th, and then Mallory in 9th. They serve as a little mini group in between the crossovers and the next group of players. The next group consists of Mallory in 10th, Rome in 11th, Taylor in 12th, and Lyric in 13th place, all grouped up together, those 4. And then trailing behind one by one is Chuck, Kamu, Yash, and finally Haley in last place. There you go.
Makes
I
sense.
feel like, yeah, okay. I could see why.
Yash does surprise me a little bit as well. I think that, like, you know, he's certainly not looking like he's going to necessarily be spending a lot of time in the house, potentially. But, you know, I think he's been fine overall. But yes, pretty strong. I'm expecting this to change as well, I think. I think there's a lot of potential movement around this list. So I'm curious to see where it ends up.
Right. People might start shifting a little bit on the crossovers, especially with this, like, we don't know if this is going to come back to bite Drew. So we don't know how solid the crossovers are.
Yeah, I feel like we always get these alliances in the beginning and then they're just gone by like 3 weeks from now, we're going to be like, wait, what alliance? So, I mean, some of these will stay, but
or
you never
it
know.
stays and dominates and they start falling down the list because of that.
Right.
Yes, true.
Yes. So
what was that alliance in the most recent All-Stars that we were just like, this is never going to last, and then it dominated?
The committee.
The committee. We were like,
I don't think the committee topped the popularity charts from the start, though.
No, true. That did not. But it certainly wasn't one I expected to stick around.
Well, let's move on then to the episode ratings, I should say. It's one rating for the episodes in general. Let me pull up the spreadsheet. I'm working on some visuals in general, but right now we still got what we've got. Here's the big chart. It's the episodes for all of the seasons that we've talked about since we've been asking this question, and so we're gonna add some data to this. Right. What were the episodes rated this week? Well, historically, the week 1 episodes have been neutral to good, generally, aside from Big Brother 24. With the highest being last season, which had a 7.3. And I can tell you that this season mostly followed suit with a 7.1.
Okay. I think...
Oh, go ahead.
I think what helped that for sure is people actually enjoying Unlocked. The fact that it was a little bit, and like we got to see footage we hadn't seen, wasn't a whole lot of filler and like unnecessary stuff. So that makes sense.
It's very funny to me how, and this tracks, is like the middle hunk of the season is the most exciting and the most like the highest rated, because that's where like the meat of the season is, I feel. And then it's like the beginning, it's like fun and games, we're just getting to know people, whatever, a little like little dull, whatever. Middle is like, oh, okay, now we know everybody, everyone's playing really hard. There's a lot of things that are happening, double evictions, etc. And then by the end, it's like, okay, it kind of peters out. But that totally makes sense.
Then we have the feeds, which are generally rated much higher than the episodes, but have a heavy skew toward bad by the end of the season, as you can see. But week 1 of the feeds are usually some of the highest rated things in general, the highest rated week of feeds ever, according to these ratings. Big Brother 25's week 1, with Big Brother 26's week 1, also very high in the ratings. The only negative week 1 of feeds was, again, Big Brother 24, which had a bit of a rough start. So can this season follow suits? Yeah, generally. It's a 7.3 for the feeds this week, falling pretty much in line with last season's 7.5. Nothing too out there. It falls behind Big Brother 26, 25, and 23's ratings, which are all in the 8s or 9s, but it is ahead of Big Brother 22 and 21, which both were in the 6s.
Which seasons gave us like night 1 feeds and which did not? I feel like that's an interesting thing to think about.
That is interesting. 22 gave us night 1 feeds.
Okay.
Right? Yeah, I think so.
I don't remember.
3. I'm actually struggling. So 21 definitely did not. 24 did, and so I assume 23 did as well. And then 25 did too. So it's 22 to 25, I think.
Okay. Wow, 25 is a 9.2. What happened?
9.2. Sari walked in.
I think it was just getting to watch Sari. Yeah.
Everyone's like, yeah. So funny.
All right. And then the season as a whole so far. Once again, it usually starts relatively high and then starts to drop over time. That is the general trend, although we did see a bit of a recovery / stabilization for Big Brother 26 of all seasons, which is a strange one because a lot of people fell off at the end of that season, but that's also maybe why I think the number of votes for BB26 diminished pretty severely toward the end of that season. And maybe there's a bit of a survivorship bias there. But the season usually starts pretty well. Last season started with a 7.4, and this season followed suit exactly, a 7.4.
Okay.
So there you go.
Makes sense. I feel like it's so early. It's so hard to know like whether or not it's good. I feel like everyone, I mean, aside from obviously like Big Brother 24 and Big Brother 21, like we're all just excited that it's back. And so it's hard to be like, yeah, no, I'm not feeling it unless something like really bad is happening. And so at this point, it's kind of like, yeah, I'm just excited for Big Brother. I don't know. We'll see what happens. And so I would rate it high.
Yeah, I don't think there's anything that's really making people be like, ugh, this, I'm not with this. But once you get to week 2, week 3, and let's say we get like week 2, Devens HOH, week 3, D HOH, week 4, Angela HOH, then people might start to be like, okay, we're seeing the same thing. Let's change it up a little bit. But the fact that we're getting to see people make alliances, make silly mistakes, tell people information they're not supposed to. Showmance is already happening. I feel like there's a lot going on. So there's a lot for us to be entertained by.
Yeah, some interesting numbers here as well. Season 24, again, starts very low and actually improves basically over the course of the season for the most part. Season 27, I'm seeing a lot of people concerned about that one. I think would have been a strong finish if not for the White Locust, which dramatically dropped the rating from a 6.7 to a 2.7 into week 9. It did recover strong, but never was able to get back up to like good numbers. So some interesting stuff there as well. Then finally, HOH reigns. Now, this one is always an interesting one. We have Dee now taking the helm of Big Brother 28. Compared to, we haven't been asking this question for very long, so we don't have much to compare to. But interestingly enough, we do have Angela to compare to. So Vince was a 2.7, Riley a 4.1. Interestingly enough, Angela had the highest HOH rating at a 4.9, which is, you know, still not super high, but a 4.9. I can quickly spoil to you that Dee is going to throw this entire leveling system.
Yeah, I would say I think she's probably above a 5.
What would you guys rate Dee's HOH?
I'd say a 7.
Yeah, I was gonna say a 7.
Well, Dee received an 8.4.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Which actually, if I quickly scan this list here, that is the highest HOH rating ever.
Oh my God.
Since we've been asking this question.
It is a really good week for her. I mean, but it's also a very good week. I mean, first HOHs, I feel like, well, number one, they set the tone of the season. And number two, they can go crazy because there's really no reason to nominate people yet. So it's kind of hard because you kind of just have to pick people. But I feel like Dee is doing a very good job of like walking that line of like, okay, I'm going to pick someone with not really a reason, but also give like a sort of generic reason that works for people and not really piss too many people off, and getting into a major alliance during this time. I mean, when you're week 1 HOH, you should be setting yourself up for a good rest of the show. And I feel like a lot of the recent HOHs we've had for first HOH like are not doing that. So this is, I mean, much better than we have seen in the past few seasons. So this is definitely, I can see why it's an 8.4.
Yeah, and of course, again, worth pointing out, we haven't been asking this question for many seasons, and 2 of the 4 seasons we've been asking these questions for have been historically bad HOH reign seasons, with the blockbuster in play and just consistently poor decision making happening all the time. I think that there's a lot of like, whoa, somebody's actually playing an HOH well, and it's week 1, which means it's super powerful, and it's a vet, and so on and so forth. And so all that combined has given Dee quite a high rating. I don't quite have a chart set up for the production rating yet because there's barely any data for it. But the audience gave production a 6.7 out of 10 this week.
Yeah.
Not bad.
Okay.
Yeah, I feel like production's doing fine. I've already discussed at length the Velociraptor Rachel thing, so I'm not going to go into it. But yeah, that would be my reason for rating production a bit lower. But otherwise, I've been fine with it.
Yeah, I think production is at their best when they let the players play. So I feel like last night's episode got to focus on what the players actually wanted to do without focusing on any major twists or anything. So that I could see why that is that rating.
Finally, the last couple of questions I asked, is Dee choosing the right replacement nominee? Of course, that being Ashley. This survey went out just before the veto ceremony happened. I thought it was locked enough that we could probably just put it in. And 74% of the audience agrees with the decision to put Ashley on the block. 26% think should have been someone else.
I mean, I think it makes sense. I think it probably would have made more sense to start with Ashley as a nominee and then replace it with someone from your team being like, look, now I have to pick someone from my team. But, I think overall, the way that it played out is kind of the way it has to be. I don't necessarily think it's like a very strong nominee, but we also don't really know like who are the strong players yet. So it's fine.
Dee is in a really strong position, and that is the only position where making like lukewarm moves makes any amount of sense. And if you're wrong about being in a strong position, then it's disastrous. But Dee is in a strong position, and she's right about being in a strong position, and she's done very well to keep heat off of herself. This follows the logic. It doesn't make anybody upset. It doesn't tip her cards in any way. I do think ultimately this is a pretty decent shout for her, though I don't think they should want Ashley to leave necessarily. I do think that despite the fact that Taylor has been pretty okay with Dee as an HOH that nominated her, I do think that Taylor is much more closely aligned with people who are more dangerous to Dee and the vets in general, meaning Lala and subsequently because of that Rome and Jason. And Ashley is more of like a free agent wild card that is more attached to players that they do have influence over, like Mallory and Melody. So we'll see about that. Obviously, Yash remains the primary target in general anyway. And also the primary target for the audience. 75% of the audience would prefer to see Yash be evicted over Taylor and Ashley. 15% say Taylor, roughly 10% say Ashley. And this is just who they want to be evicted, not who they think should be evicted.
Yeah, it'll be interesting going into the blockbuster because I do think that Yash probably thinks he has it in the bag. He was the one preseason, right? Just like, oh, give me the comps that I can just win at. Don't do da 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 blah blah blah. So I feel like these really could be anything. So if Yash is on the block after the blockbuster, I think he probably is the one going home. But yeah, I guess so. Are you saying if you think it's Taylor and Ashley that it would be in their best interest to vote out Taylor?
I think probably the crossovers have a rooting interest in probably keeping Ashley. I don't think it's a big deal either way. I think that like marginally Taylor is a more dangerous player in general. I think that she's more capable in general. And on top of that, she is more connected to players like Jason and Lala, who are obviously the biggest threats to the crossovers. So that's part of why I think that if it were to be between the two of them, I would personally lean toward keeping Ashley. But I don't think it's like I said, necessarily a huge deal. But they do need to make sure they're putting work in with Ashley, with Taylor, if they plan to keep her. Because like I said, I think it's just going to be pulled further and further into the world of Lala and Jason, and that's very bad for them.
Yeah, I think we'll see a brand new Taylor if she stays after this week, because I feel like all I've seen is her being so hungry. But once she is not a have-not anymore and she's able to sleep in a proper bed, I will be very interested to see like where she lands in the house.
Mm. All right. Are we ready to rate the players?
Let's do it.
Let's do it. This is, of course, the portion of the podcast where we rate the players from 1 to 10 based on how well we think they're doing in the game. I will give a number, Melissa will give a number, Aysha will give a number, and then the audience will have collectively given a number as well. And so this is a number out of 10. This is based on whatever criteria you really want, as long as it's game focused is kind of the idea. And generally, I think what we try to go for is something along the lines of like how well they did this week, just based on our own personal judgment. So there can be some adjustments up or down. It doesn't have to be that like, oh, this person's in a great position, therefore they have to have a great rating. If we're like, yeah, but they made a dumb decision and got lucky, then we can still rate them lower. Short-term safety, how likely are they to be evicted? If somebody's like a huge target moving forward, then they might be lower on the scale. And then long-term prospects, how likely are they to ultimately win the game? This one's probably a bit less important now than it will be later, but those are the things that at least I like to think about when I make the ratings. But they're also just kind of arbitrary and reductive, and they don't really matter. So please don't worry about it too much. Here is the board. We have
so many people,
a lot of people to get to. So we're gonna try our best to get through as much of it as we can. And we're gonna start with Angela. Who knew Angela had it in her? Really actually doing pretty well. Honestly, my biggest concern with Angela is her concern with Drew. I think that is a potential issue for her. I think that outside of that, though, she is very well positioned in this game. She is not the most pressing threat of the vets. She's like locked in with the crossovers. She's being recruited by the red corner. And, you know, her biggest op is Lala, which is not ideal. But you know, I think it's going to be tough to get Angela out if she's going to have to be nominated next to either people from the red corner or even people from the crossroads, who are all bigger threats than her. Angela is just sticking around for a while. And there's, I don't think, any real doubt about that. In addition to that, I think this time around, it's not like, you know, her reputation, I think, does weigh her down, but she's building a new reputation with these house guests. And I think that means she absolutely could win a jury vote, at least right now, given the way that things are going and could go for her in the future. So don't count Angela out. I'm going to give Angela, and I'm probably going to be pretty generous in general with the crossroads because they're doing very well. And so this might come off as a lot given the ratings that we're used to seeing the last few seasons. But I think I'm going to give Angela... Ooh, I was going to give her an 8, but I'm not going to give her an 8 because I'm going to give her a 7. Because of this Drew thing. Because I don't think it's necessary. I think that it's not only like a potential weakness in the crossovers, but I do also think that that it's like she's spreading it to Dee as well. And then on top of that, if Jason starts to catch on that she's acting different and it gets Drew exposed, and it could, like, there's some slight cracks here that I feel like the other players like Devens and Dee are a little more on top of. So I'm gonna give Angela a 7.
Yeah, 7 for me as well. Honestly, I've been impressed with her, but I'm always worried with Angela because we know what she's capable of and how her paranoia can get the best of her. And I'm worried about this whole Jason thing. She can't seem to, you know, hide her emotions, and so I'm worried that, like, I mean, Jason's already thinking that she is acting differently towards him, and so I don't think she's going to be able to just like keep this information to herself and keep it in her back pocket of like, oh, I can't trust him. Something's going to happen. So yeah, 7 for me, but we'll see.
Yeah, the way I look at these people right now is everybody's a 5 and then evaluate from there. Do I go down? Do I go up? And then with Angela, I agree with all your points. And I think that I was leaning towards pushing her further up to an 8, but my fear is even less Drew and more Jason, that Jason is so locked in on Angela. So instead of, getting this information from Drew and Angela deciding, okay, I'm going to put that in my back pocket and move forward, she's deciding to, all right, I have this in my mind, and now I am shifting how I move around Jason, which is going to be a thing. We know it. There's no way this fades away. It evaporates. It's going to be a thing. So I'm also giving Angela 7.
There you go. Well, that's going to be straight 7s across the board because the audience also gave Angela a 7. There you go. I'm curious. I'm going to try to check quickly here. While I check this, I'm curious as to what kind of ratings Angela got across season 26.
Yeah, that's like the highest she ever got.
A 7 at all is the highest Angela has ever gotten. The highest Angela ever got in season 26 was, and this is any individual rating, a 5.
Oh.
So she's already topped it by 2.
Good for her.
With all 4 ratings, yes. All right, let's move on then to Ashley. Melissa, how are you feeling about Ashley, one of our nominees here?
It's kind of tough. I don't feel great about Ashley because I feel like she's one of the few people in the house who like hasn't gotten involved in anything. Like, I don't feel like she's been able to find where she fits anywhere. And not only that, now she's on the block. So I am worried about her. I think because she doesn't really have anywhere where she fits, she could be someone who leaves this week. However, I don't really think that she's done anything necessarily wrong. And I feel like a lot of the times people don't really have anywhere where they fit in the first week and then they find it and it's no big deal, not a problem, but she is on the block now and this could be her week to go home. We don't know. So I'm going to give her a 3 just because, I don't know.
Yeah, I also landed at a 3. I was going to push it to a 2 because she's on the block, but she's on the block and there's a strong chance she could be voted out because it's kind of like, well, why not? If we want to move forward with Taylor, who we may view as a stronger player, but I think she's also put herself in a position where, okay, she's not a threat. So we could keep her and let's get out somebody who could potentially do something greater. So she's in that sweet spot right now. So 3 feels right.
3 feels right for the audience as well, and for me. We're in lockstep right now.
Wow.
I think she's the exact example of a 3 in that, like, she didn't really do much wrong. I mean, like, I say that she didn't do a lot right either, and unfortunately found herself in a bad position. She did fight to stay off the block. She is campaigning, like she's still doing things that are technically right, but just not very effective. But she could be one of or she could be our first evictee. But it's not like she like actively screwed up and like made herself a huge target or anything like that. And so I think a 3 makes a lot of sense here. But let's talk about Barrett. Aysha, how do you feel about Barrett?
Yeah, so I like what Barrett's doing socially. I feel like he is in a good position where, people are liking Barrett. I feel like his alliance really likes him. He's gotten himself into an alliance. And I think that he's not always talking to the same people. My only concern with Barrett is that, like, the red corner so easily wanted to just go ahead and put him up. So my fear is that if in the future they get HOH, they're going to just be like, okay, well, Barrett and who? And so I do want him to work them a little bit more to kind of put himself in a position where they're not prioritizing putting him up. But it's not a huge immediate concern. I think there are bigger fish to fry for the red corner. So maybe they're not prioritizing him, and maybe they're just trying to use Dee's logic to put him up. So I'm just gonna go. I'm gonna give him an 8.
An 8 from Aysha. 7 from the audience. A little bit lower on Barrett. And it's the color. Oh no, no, sorry, the color. I was so confused by a 7 not having a color. Because normally that would automatically be a green. For those that listen to this podcast, it automatically color codes based on the average rating of the entire season. So right now, that means that 7 is the average of the season, which I'm just very unused to seeing. I thought something broke.
That's pretty impressive. Normally the average is like,
it's
4.
usually a 4. A 4 is usually like the where it's uncolored. But I am a little more inclined to go with the audience here. I think a 7 makes a little more sense to me for Barrett, primarily because he's still kind of gaining his footing. I think that he is certainly like on the way to be potentially in a better position than some of the other people in the alliances that he's in, but he doesn't really have any other solid backup plans yet. He has some good relationships, but some of his best relationships are with people that were on the block, like Mallory, who's now good, and that's probably his most valuable asset outside of his alliance. But then another one would have been Yash. Like, he actually has a great relationship with Yash, and Yash is like the most likely person to leave theoretically. So I actually don't love Yash leaving for him as much as like everyone else seems to, in terms of like, and he seems to. He does have a good relationship with people like Taylor, but in terms of like positionally, like where he's at, I'm just not entirely sure he's where he should be yet. And I think he recognizes that too, but I do have faith that he'll get there.
Yeah, I'm giving a 7 as well. Similar reasoning. Yeah, I have been impressed with him so far, and I'm glad that he got in with the vets, whatever. But I do feel like it's a precarious position, and I would like to see him making allies outside of that whole group and just kind of seeing what goes on outside of it.
All right. Well, let's move on then to Chuck. Chuck got a 4 from the audience. Chuck in an interesting position. He is, of course, part of the Red Corner Alliance. Now, I will say this about Chuck. I think that he is the best positioned player in the Red Corner Alliance. He is the person being targeted the least, but he also is the least active, and that's part of why he's not being targeted. He doesn't seem to have a lot of great connections outside of that alliance, and that alliance we know is kind of doomed. So that's a bit concerning for Chuck. However, he did win safety in that first competition. And in addition to that, because of that, you might assume he's actually going to be kind of decent at challenges. It was a puzzle kind of thing. He beat out Drew and Haley and Taylor. And so that could be a valuable thing for him, especially if once Red Corner crumbles and he sort of like walks out of the rubble, he could be like somebody that is valuable, that is picked up by somebody else, especially because he's a relatively agreeable player. Part of the reason why he's not being targeted as much as Camus and Haley is because he's kind of a little more likable than they are. And I think that could bode well for him in the future. The question is, do I want to go down to a 4 like the audience, or do I see maybe a little bit more potential in Chuck's position? I just feel like he's probably fine for the time being, and he's got plenty of time to recover. I think because of that, I think I'll go to a 5 for Chuck. I want to make sure there's room for some other players in between, like where Ashley is and where I want Chuck to be. So part of the ratings is like very much like, make sure that I have enough space to place people. So I'm going to do my best here. I'm going to give him a 5.
Yeah, I was having that same conversation within myself because I'm like, I think that he's fine. And I think that he's in, if the red corner wasn't known as like, oh yeah, we got to get them out, and also like kind of hated a little bit. It seems like people really don't like Haley in particular. It seems like it's not just, oh, this is an alliance that people recognize and so they're a threat. It's like, oh, we don't like these people, so now we want to get them out or something. So I feel like, especially, it's not just let's weaken their alliance. It's like, oh, we want Haley specifically out or Camus specifically out. And it's not really like, we just want to weaken their alliance. So like, let's just pick off Chuck, off the side. Maybe they would, but it seems to me like he's probably okay. And then I think if he realizes like, oh, this is a sinking ship, maybe he jumps off and starts hanging out with other people. So I'm going to give him a 5 just because, we'll see what happens next week, but I think it's like a little early.
Yeah, I'm also going to go a 5. He didn't move me one way or the other. I feel like he's in an okay spot, and not the highest on anyone's like priority list. So I'm just going to go 5 for him.
All right. Look at that. The colors changed. All right. Let's move on then to Dee, which, Dee's an interesting one. This is another one. Of course, Dee, first HOH, and has done a phenomenal job as the first HOH. I think that a first HOH that does incredibly well is, again, one of the most powerful things you can sort of do in general in the game. And I always think back to Big Brother 22 when in the first week, Cody just completely dominated, did very, very well in week 1 and basically set himself up to win the entire game in just that week. And I gave him an 8. I changed it from a 9 because of a little bit of like wonkiness that was happening like that night. And then the next day it was all solved. And I was like, I really feel like that should have been a 9. It was such a good setup. It was done so well. And it basically won him the whole season. And so I don't want to like be too influenced by that and go too far in the other direction. But I really do feel like this was a textbook week 1 HOH setup, a secret alliance, connections into another alliance, letting other people take the heat for you. You're barely a target coming out of this. You've got plenty of options to survive moving forward. You've got plenty of options to dominate the game moving forward. You've got some great individual relationships on top of it all. The nominees themselves, pretty much none of them are mad at you except for maybe Mallory, who is now easily under the sway of influence that you've built. I think I have to not be swayed by a couple of the little mistakes I think she's made, like maybe telling Rome that Haley was trying to pitch Lala, and say, I think this is how you run a week 1 HOH. I think that she's got a 9 for me.
Yeah, I mean, she's had a really impressive week for sure. I think like maybe my only critique, and this is like a small critique, but I think that she set herself up in such a good way to have like the red corner and also the crossovers. But now I feel like we're closing out the week, or we're not closing it out yet, but we are going to close out the week with the red corner basically being like next in line for targeting. And I think it might have been better for her to try and keep some of the heat off of the red corner. And that way, like she could kind of maintain that and at the same time maintain the crossovers, because she would have protection from them, protection from outside people. So it just would have been a little bit better had she done that. And now it's kind of like going into next week, red corner, her other cover alliance or whatever is about to get targeted. So it's tough. I'm vacillating between an 8 and a 9, but I feel like I kind of just want to give it to her because I do feel like first week HOH is so hard. I mean, you would think it would not be hard, but as we've seen in the past, a lot of people have struggled with first week HOH. So I feel like she did such a good job, and people are not seeing her as like, oh, she's a vet, she's a threat. And then we see the cam talk where she's like, yeah, I know what I'm doing. They think I'm an idiot. And it's like, oh, okay. I really like that. So I'm going to give her a 9.
Yeah, I am in agreement. I also gave her a 9. Dee is in college. These newbies are in 6th grade. Like, what are we going to do with that? Like, you
All right,
can't.
Corbin.
All right. Oh God. What are you gonna do with that? You can't discount the fact that she has 2 seasons of Survivor under her belt, a season of the challenge. Like, she's obviously, yeah, she's new to Big Brother, but these are all social games, like social strategy games. And so the fact that she can apply that here in the Big Brother house with the context of how Big Brother works, like, she's already so many steps ahead. So it'll just be really interesting to see how people truly feel about her threat level after this week, which is why I didn't give her the 10, since we are still in week 1. But if she were to maintain this week 2, week 3, then she would deserve the 10.
Well, that's the thing. I don't want to let the week 1 of it all like influence me, because it should be possible to get a 10 in week 1. Like, otherwise, what's the point of even having the score available in week 1, right? Like, theoretically, there's a perfect week 1 play. And that doesn't mean that, because obviously we can't forecast that it was the perfect play and that she will definitely win the game because it's a 10 out of 10. But like, you know, theoretically, there's a way to play week 1 that is like, wow, that is the best I've ever seen. That is like really up there with the elite. That's a 10 out of 10. And so, you know, I think it's for me, at least, it's very easy to fall into the trap of like, oh, it's week 1. It's so early to give her a 9. But then it's like, what's the point of having the 9 then? So that's sort of why I went in that direction. The audience did give Dee an 8, which I don't currently off the top of my head know is if it's one of the highest scores that has been received. But I can tell you that the audience gave Cody a 6 in week 1 of Big Brother 22.
Feels generous. Jeez.
All right, let's move on then to Devens. Melissa, what are your thoughts on Devens?
I think Devens is doing a great job. I think that I like his position with the alliance, and I like the way he's been bonding with some of the people outside of the alliance. I am worried because Jason has it out for him. I guess because I'm hearing, I didn't see the conversation today where Jason explained it, but I saw on Blue Sky that like Jason was saying that he's worried that Devens has like America's favorite player on lock or whatever.
That's what Drew was telling Devens. That's the vibe that Drew was getting from Jason from the conversation.
Yeah, see, I don't know if that's exactly true, but that's worrying to me that Jason seems to have it such a target for Devens for whatever reason. But overall, I think he's playing well. It's not great that people are already looking at him. So I'm going to give him a 7.
Yeah, I think Devens is doing better socially than I thought he would. I feel like what we know about Devens is he thrives in the chaos and being able to be creative and stuff. So it's really cool actually to see him in this element, and being able to, for them not to just look at him as like, oh, like the fun uncle, but he's actually having a lot of one-on-one time with people, and people feel good about him, and he's, you know, gotten himself in this alliance. It's wild that we've talked about so many of the crossovers so early, and we will again with the next guy. So I think Devens, I feel I'm in a same position I am with Angela, so I'm also going to give Devens a 7.
All right. The audience agrees. They also gave Devens a 7s. And I did consider an 8 with Devens in the same way that I did with Angela. I think that Devens is obviously a bit of a steadier hand at the wheel than Angela. His reaction to Angela being like Drew's information might have been fake was, I thought, pretty reassuring, that he was like, it's a lot to have made up. I'm pretty sure it's true information. But Devens has a much bigger target on his back than Angela does. And I have less faith that he can like make it through as far as Angela might. And in addition to that, while I do appreciate that he's starting to build some good relationships, I especially like that he's in the red corner, obviously, and that he's got some good relationships in there. They do feel like a sinking ship at this point, and I would like to see him have more connections outside of that group. He's tried a bit with Rome, but Rome is so closely attached to Jason, and Jason is so fervently anti-Devens that it's hard to give Devens the sevens Devens the eights and instead the sevens. Honestly, just take Jason out of the equation. I might be willing to give Devens an 8, but I don't think we can while he's still there. So sevens all around for Devens. Let's talk about Drew. Aysha, how do you feel about Drew?
Yeah, I like Drew more than I thought I would. He's fun. He's funny. I feel like he is working the house in terms of like always trying to have conversations with different people. I love that the icons trust him enough to have brought him into this alliance. Yes, we have acknowledged the mistake, of immediately telling Angela in front of other people. I think the best route, like in my opinion, with Angela would have been, yes, immediate, but one-on-one, because now you have other people having opinions about the situation and she's just pissed now. So, and is now just kind of like, doesn't know where to direct these emotions. And now she's feeling all weird about Drew. And yeah, so I think he's in, aside from that, I do think he's in a good position. So, not an awful position, at least. So I think I'm actually going to give Drew a 6.
A 6 from Aysha, which is red in this field
Ooh.
at the moment. Well, the audience is actually a bit higher on Drew than you are, Aysha. They gave him a 7. In fact, his 7 was a higher 7 than Devens's 7. And also higher than Angela's 7. In fact, Drew has the second highest rating of anybody from the audience. So take that for what it's worth. And I will take that for what I think it is, which is I also gave Drew a 7. I would like to also give Drew an 8. In fact, I think Drew is the person who is best set up within the Crossovers Alliance, aside from perhaps Dee, to like survive a nuclear apocalypse, so to speak. I think that his connection to Mallory is fantastic, and he clearly is being invited into things with people like Jason and elsewhere. It's very good stuff. I do think that he has some problems, though, and that's where I'm not able to go a little high. I said Melody, right? Did I say Mallory? I swear I was like, I'm saying it right. I know I'm saying it right. And then somehow I guess I said it wrong. In my head, I swear to you, I said Melody. So
unfortunately, one of them needs to leave so that way we can just like, make this easier.
I was so ready.
Yeah.
Mallory was the target and Melody was supposed to be the renom. We were supposed to have some resolution to this.
It's very difficult.
It's genuinely, I mean, listen, I am incredibly sleep deprived, so that's not helping. But in my head, I swear to you, I was thinking, I'm crushing this. I'm saying the right name this time. And I heard Melody in my own head.
Their names are so similar, Melody and Mallory. And then you've got like the Melody lyric Lala.
In the lyric thing, I'm pretty sure I said lyric was in the conversation instead of Melody last night on the update this morning.
I don't blame you. I'm having a lot of trouble with it. So very confusing.
It's a nightmare. Anyway, there's some concern for Drew, specifically with Lyric, who he was rubbed the wrong way by Drew the other day. I think in general, Drew just, I want to see a little more emotional connection with him to people. I think he's connecting strategically really well with players, but emotionally, I think he's struggling, and that's part of why the whole backrooms, crossroads thing is becoming what it is. And so there are a couple of problem areas for Drew, but I like his position right now, and I like the way he's moving. What do you think, Melissa?
Yeah, I've been very impressed with Drew. I'm going to give him a 7 as well. I was not expecting to be impressed with him coming into this, but I have been very impressed with the way that he's, gotten himself into various alliances, and also the way that he is kind of integrating himself with people that I wouldn't necessarily expect him to integrate well with. And I find him very fun to watch on the feeds. So yeah, he's a 7.
Apparently I said crossroads and not crossover.
It's too difficult for you.
Okay, well, let's move on then to Haley. Haley is a 3, according to the audience. She's not on the block, but I would say that Haley is probably the person who is in the worst position, who is not currently on the block. She is a massive target for so many people. Even the people in her own alliance, aka Dee, do not like Haley. Devens does not like Haley. There's basically like 2 people in that house that like Haley, and their names are Chuck and Kamu, and they're the 2 people in an alliance with her. I'm almost tempted to say she's in a worse position than Ashley, who is currently on the block. She's certainly actively doing worse things. Honestly, I think the amount that Dee actively wants her gone, and the amount that she's put herself in that position, I'd give her a 2.
I would give her a 2 as well. I feel like she's not doing herself any favors. I think she thinks she's in a stronger position than she is in. And the fact that so many people are like, I just don't like her, that's very concerning. Also, on a side note, I don't like how she's like, oh, I just don't get along well with women. Like they just don't like me. I don't know. I just don't get along with them. It's like, okay, then you are the problem. You it can't just be
she's a
every
girls
woman
guy.
is wrong. I hate that stuff. It's like that, and it makes me think that like, oh, okay, so you're not even gonna try with the girls. Like that automatically is like a bad attitude. It cuts out 50% of the house. I don't like that. So yeah, she's a 2.
People are asking in the chat like what she's doing. It's primarily just her social game and the way that she moves strategically. She's very blunt in terms of like her strategic play, and just people just don't like her.
Yeah. Thing. You threw me with the girls guy. She's a guy's girl.
That one was not me messing it up, because that's what she said in the episode.
Oh, okay.
A girl's guy. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Okay. Yeah. I too am going to give her a 2. It's just, yeah, she's just not in a solid position. How are you in a, even the people that you are fake aligned with want you out. It feels like she's hanging on by a thread.
Yeah. Okay, let's talk about Jason, because this one's a tough one. Jason, I think, should be in a great position. Like, Jason has the social game. He's got the relationships. And like literally, like I feel like all he needs to do or needed to do was just like not talk smack about the vets. Mm-hmm. Or if you wanted to go even further, he could have just told the vets, I'm from Drag Race, let me in. And I think they would have let him in. They all like him a lot. And for no reason at all, he's been talking smack nonstop about them. And he finally talked smack to the wrong person. And now he's caught, probably. And so it's just so frustrating because there's so much potential. But it's all been wasted and for no particular reason. And so I have to especially punish him for that. And I think I need to go down to a 3 for Jason, mostly because if he somehow does manage to get out of this, I think he's got a lot more in him than like somebody like Haley does. But like, I think just like for actively tanking his game for no particular reason, he's got to be punished pretty strongly.
Yeah, I use a 3 for me as well. And it's so disappointing because I was really excited to watch him play. I'm so confused as to why he's targeting the vets so much. It'd be one thing if like it's like a Paul situation where he's amassed this big following and it's like, hey guys, we've got to do something. And I get that it's like, hey, you know, we can't let them get too far. But I feel like he's actively just okay, every second he gets is like, let's get them out, let's get them out. And it feels too fast, too soon. And it makes me think that like maybe he's upset that he's not considered like a reality icon or something because Drag Race is like a different network. Like, I don't know.
I think he should have been an icon, quite frankly.
Yeah.
Oh, I mean, yeah, but I don't think they cast him for that. I think he applied as a normal person and or I don't know if he applied, maybe they found him. I don't know. But like he's applying as a normal person. He gets on as a normal person. It does seem odd that he's not considered an icon, but to me, I mean, maybe it hurt him, but to me, it's like don't ruin your game over this. Like you can do this. I don't know. And I really think he could bond with them over the fact that he is a reality TV star. And it's just like, I don't know. It's odd.
I mean, I'll tell you this, because there is a lot of talk about like there's probably some jealousy involved. Again, Drew got that impression. I've certainly seen people online talk about that. I will give a little bit of credence here, I think, to what Jason could be upset. A part of what Jason could be upset about, which is that like I very much doubt he's being paid as much as Angela, Dee, or Devens, and probably should be paid at least closer to what they're being paid to be on this season than an average person being on the season. Granted, they should all be paid a lot more, in my opinion. But I would imagine part of that is from that too. Like, oh, these people are probably getting paid like 10 times as much as I'm getting paid to be on this season, and I'm a 2-time reality contestant. Like, what's going on with that? But yes, I think the main thing for Jason,
he can't say that. Like he can't say that of like, I want to get paid more and they're getting paid more. I should be getting paid more, because he's not telling them he was on Drag Race. So like that can't be the reasoning that he gives to anyone. And it's like fair, legit reasoning. So it's just, it's upsetting because I wish it's like, okay, I know it's important. Like obviously money's important, etc. But like, if you could just set that aside just for the game, and then you could maybe win. I don't know. It's just, it's tough.
Honestly, the biggest thing for me beyond any of it is like, what are you doing telling somebody like Drew, who you don't even have that great a relationship with, incriminating details such as I was fake crying to Angela and then looked at the cameras and gave a face, and I plan to give Devens cupcakes in order to trick him into thinking that's so much to not only be doing in general, but also certainly to be telling somebody at all in general. So that's, I just can't with that. But Aysha, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I was actually having a conversation about that earlier today. Is like we were wondering, does Jason think that he should have also been an icon? And is that part of the reason for needing to target Angela and Devens so much? Because it just seems like it's out of nowhere, and it seems like there is a hidden reason. You know, it's not just, oh, they did something in the house. But besides that, it's tough because yes, I do think that he shouldn't have told Drew this. He probably shouldn't have told most of the people he has told that these are his plans. I think when he does realize he's in jeopardy, like that first time he's put on the block, we could see a shift to where it's like, okay, I need to chill for a second, or I need to recalibrate. Because wasn't it him that had a conversation with Dee once he realized like, okay, things feel weird, so let me try to just relate to Dee, have a conversation with Dee and lock something in. I feel like I saw them having a conversation earlier today that Dee was telling Drew about. So
yes, yeah, he did have a
okay.
conversation with her.
Okay. So it like that type of thing shows me that he can like course correct. And if given a week, you know, or given a few days, I think that he has the wits about him to realize the impact of his actions. Maybe he just trusted Drew enough to think, oh, Drew's not running back and telling anything, because he would think that, oh, Drew wouldn't go back and tell them that. So anyway, I say all that to say I'm gonna give Jason a 4.
All right. Well, Aysha, the audience is with you on this one. The audience also gave Jason a 4, so he will climb to an average of a 4 overall. Melissa, what are your thoughts on Kamu?
Well, one other thing about Jason, let me just say that like the whole thing about, if this is true, where he's like, oh, Devens is going to get America's favorite player, and so I have to get him out because I want America's favorite player. Like, number one, that's not a good way to try and get America's favorite player. I've said since like a million years ago that if a vet is in the house, a fan favorite vet, like if people are liking these people, like whatever, an icon, whatever, then you should be teaming up with them to gain fans, and knowing though that you're gonna have to cut them at some point and turn on them, but not turn on them in a bad way where you're bad mouthing them, turning on them in a way that's like, I just have to do this for my game. I'm so sorry. I love you so much. That is the way that you would get fans, because it's like, okay, this person knows what they need to do. They're not just sucking up like a Paul situation. But they are teaming up with my fave, so I like them. They're not getting my fave out until it's necessary. I mean, that is the way to do it. So if anyone is watching and wants America's favorite player and is working with vets, like that's like, honestly, that's what people like.
There you go.
Anyway, yes, back to Kamu.
Back to Kamu.
Yeah, Kamu's not in a good spot. I do think he's a smart guy because, you know, like I said earlier, when he said, you know, Dee should just use this logic to say that, oh, I don't want to put someone in my group on the block. Instead, I'll just put someone who's in the like the external group who didn't win the competition or whatever. I'll put one of them on the block. And it's like, it totally makes sense. And a lot of the strategy conversations that he has make sense and are right. And it's not like he has bad reads, but he's kind of lumped himself in with this alliance that is now the target, and that's not good. I do think that people dislike Haley more than they dislike Kamu, so I would give Kamu a 3.
All right.
Yeah, it is a good thing that Kamu is in this alliance, but it's not the best thing that it doesn't seem like people like him genuinely. So I worry if like 2 people from the red corner end up on the block, like where that leaves him. You know, is it just going to be like, these are the people I'm riding with, and once they're gone, like I have no other options. I was going back and forth between a 3 and a 4 with Kamu. Oh, I think I'm gonna. I don't think. Yeah, because I gave Ashley a 3. I don't think Kamu is a 3 like Ashley, so I think I'm gonna give him a 4.
All right. The audience does agree with Aysha about Kamu. They gave Kamu a 4. I'm inclined to go in a similar direction. I think a 4 for me fits pretty decently for Kamu. I actually think Kamu, like, there's a world where Kamu's playing well. And that world is the world that the red corner is real. And he actually has a couple of secret allies under his wing. He's got good relationships with people like Drew and Devens, and he's able to actually keep Yash around and pulls Yash in. And he's got Haley as kind of like the bigger heat attention person in front of him. He's like kind of doing the right things, and he's even like a pretty charismatic and social guy. The problem is that he is too visible with a lot of what he's doing. And we're not living in the world where this is all good, because the problem is that it's not a real alliance and he's being set up. And so for all of those reasons, it's hard to give him much more than a 4. But let's move on to Lala. Aysha, how you feeling about Lala?
I wanted to love Lala, and I do love her as a person, but I don't love her positioning in the game, because it's just like, why is this random feud happening between her and Angela? And then it does seem kind of like she's closer to some of the people in the red corner, and I'm just really just trying to see like where she can lock in, like, officially, where people actually, like, where she's a trusted ally. So because it just seems like her game is a little all over the place in this moment, in this week 1 where people are solidifying things, I I'm gonna also I'm giving out a lot of 4s, but I think I'm gonna give her a 4.
A 4 for Lala. The audience a little higher on Lala. They gave her a 5. And I was a little torn here between a 4 and a 5, but there are, weirdly, I did not expect this, but there are actually a decent amount of people in the house that have been talking about how they actually don't like Lala and they find her kind of annoying. And that, on top of her positioning, where she's kind of like smack dab in the middle between Rome, and it's super visible, and Jason, who just got caught, is kind of a dangerous place to be. Now, luckily, she shouldn't be a main target from those people. And so I almost kind of can equate her position to like where Chuck is in the red corner. Probably the person who is least likely to get actively targeted amongst the Jasons and the Romes and all of that. So I think I end up back around at a 5, because I think she has the most potential to bounce back. I just think she needs to start being more social with more people. I think she's a little too locked into her group right now, and that's part of why people, I think, are finding her annoying, but also talking about putting her on the block this week.
Yeah, I agree with both of you guys. I'm between a 4 and a 5, but I think I'm going to go with a 4, just because I don't really feel like she's doing that much, and I don't really feel like she's got a good place in the house. So I am worried about her moving forward, and especially because she wants to target Angela, or is against Angela, and I feel like that would be a good situation for her to find an ally, and instead she's like pushing that away. So yeah, 4.
Mm-hmm. All right, let's move on then to Lyric. Lyric got a 4 from the audience, which I think personally is low. I think that's low for Lyric. I think that she actually has one of the better positions of anybody that's not in crossovers. And that's because while she is attached to Rome and his crew, she also has connections to Melody and Mallory. And they have connections to Crossroads. And she has a decent relationship with Dee. And so I actually kind of like her position. I think she's one of the least likely people to be actively targeted next week. The problem is there is a world where she gets put up with Rome if that continues to escalate. But there's also Jason and there's Lala, and those people also might get put up next to Rome instead of Lyric, especially if Lyric retains her connections to people like Mallory and Melody. And she knew to use her connections to people like Mallory to help further her position with Dee. And I liked that. The biggest thing for me is that she really is very focused on Rome. But let me just kind of randomly. Should I randomly? No. Let's see. Is anybody worthy of a 6 left? I could see a world where I give Lyric a 6 here. But I don't think I can. I think I got to give her a 5.
Yeah, I agree. I just don't have enough information yet, but I do feel like I like the various little relationships she's been building. I think that the showmance thing can be good for her, but it could also be bad for her, especially as they're both talking about how like, I don't even care about the game anymore. I just care about you. And it's like, okay, well, we're week 1, guys. So I don't know. We will see, but right now a 5 because it could go either way.
Yeah, I think she is too invested in the showmance. When you get to baby talk level, like you are all about this man. So I fear even if she were on the block without him, it'd be like that would still be her focus. Like, well, let's enjoy our last days in the house rather than switching things up. So why not throw out another 4?
All right. Let's move on then to Mallory. Mallory, who won the veto to take herself off the block. I think Mallory is recovering pretty well from her position, but I do think that she, her talk about Dee is so interesting because it's actually not really a problem for her because of who else she's with. And I don't actually hate her logic about like, well, she put me up on the block. Of course I would nominate her. She's kind of being led in the right direction, which I think is a good thing for her. I'm not going to go as high as a 6, but I think I'm actually willing to say now that she's won this veto, gotten some competition cred under her belt, I'm willing to give her a 5 as well.
She's tough for me because I do like her, but I am worried. I don't like the way that Melody has been trying to distance herself. I feel like I don't trust that the relationships that Mallory is building are real. I'm worried because they very easily put her on the block. And I know that it's like, oh, well, but she made a fuss and then she also won the veto. So maybe it'll be harder next time. But I don't know. If she doesn't have a lot of allies vouching for her, then it's an easy way to just put someone else on the block when you know that you're going to have probably like 4 nominees. So I don't have that much faith in Mallory. I feel like the conversations that she has with people seem not reciprocated. It feels like she's sharing something and being real with them and they're kind of holding back. And that makes me nervous. So I'm going to give her a 4 for now. And I hope that goes up.
Yeah, Mallory saving herself this week is great. It allows her to show that there's some hope. I mean, but it concerns me that she said today, like, I cried when I got put up. If I get put up again, I'm probably gonna cry again. It's gonna happen. You're playing Big Brother. Like, people are gonna be nominated. So I just hope that, she learns to adapt better. But I also don't think that she is the priority right now for a lot of people. So I'm going to also give her a 5.
All right. The audience, more so with Melissa on Mallory, they gave her a 4. Which brings us to Melody. Not Mallory, but Melody. Melissa, what are your thoughts on Melody?
Melody, I enjoy watching her. I think she's an interesting person. I'm worried about Melody because I don't feel like she has a great head for the game. I'm worried about the way that she just wanted to discard Mallory, even though it's like, you didn't need to do all that. Like, she could have just been like, hey, look, I'm putting a little bit of distance. And instead it was like, I'm putting so much distance. I don't even like her. I want her to leave. It's like, that could have been a very good ally for you. And maybe it still is, but that makes me nervous for her future, like, decision-making. It makes me nervous. And then the whole, her like trying to get in with Drew thing. And then, I think that it could have been a really good position for her to have the lyric Mallory Melody thing. And maybe she could say, hey guys, like, I want to work with you guys, but I do want to distance myself, and then kind of distance herself in that way, but also secretly have them. And instead it's like, no, I really want to distance myself. And it just makes me nervous. I don't know if I can trust her judgment. At the same time, I do feel like she's pretty good socially, and I'm interested to see where it goes. And now that Mallory's staying, maybe this won't even matter and it'll be fine. But it's a little scary. She was potentially going to be the renom, and that's not a good position. But then she didn't become the renom, which I guess is good for her. I guess I'll give her a 4, but we'll see.
Yeah, I am also going to give her a 4. Like you said, she's not proving it to be loyal. And at this point in the week, at least before things really shift next week, she is putting herself at the bottom of whoever she's moving to. So yeah, until we can kind of see where things shake up, I think at least for this week, it's a 4.
The audience agrees, as do I. I think the distancing herself thing, I've spoken on it plenty. I think it was a mistake. I think it caused her a lot of social problems. I do, however, think she is recovering. She is on the road to recovery at the moment. And so this could continue to go up. But I think for now, makes a lot of sense here at a 4. Aysha, what are your thoughts on Rome?
Can we call him Jack?
Who's Jack?
No, no, you may not.
that's his government name. I just feel like that's the fair thing to do. I've made it this whole podcast without that. So I think he's locked in on this showmance as well. But and yes, he is very googly-eyed on her, but he has at least tried to establish things with other people in a, I guess, like a stronger way. I don't think that if push came to shove, he would be prioritizing the showmance over like staying in the game. I do think he is competitive enough to where he can realize like, oh shoot, I do need to continue to like have other people in this game. Like he's having fun with Lyric, but I don't think he is going to ultimately allow that to fully tank his game. Even though when they are together, I think that they have no idea what's going on outside of them in the house. So because I think he's in a better position than Lyric, I think I'll give him a 5.
All right. The audience agrees with you. They gave Rome a 5. I'm going to disagree, though. I think that Lyric is in a better position than Rome in my estimation. I think that Rome is a bigger target. I also think that Rome is more distracted with Lyric than Lyric with Rome. I think that that Rome is a more sort of attractive ally to pick up, and that's why he's got a lot of suitors, because he's so large, both physically and in terms of his presence. But that also makes him more threatening. I actually like him as a player. I think that if he were not so distracted with Lyric, I think he might be pretty effective. So, you know, I do think Rome has potential in this game, but I think he really needs to get activated, because while I do think that he could be fine if his side of the house wins, if the red corner wins, it's him, it's Lala, it's Jason, it's Lyric, and he could easily end up the full target of those people as early as next week. Whereas I think Lyric is probably good. So I actually am going to give him a 4.
I'm gonna give him a 5. I see what you both are saying, but I do think that he has socially done a good job with a lot of people. I do see what you're saying, that he would be a threat, but I don't know. I feel like I don't know if he's the first person that's looked at as like, okay, next target to go, and I think that he could earn some more leverage there. So I feel like it's like good things and bad things. And now I'm kind of just in the middle again. So I'm just going to stick with the middle and give him a 5.
All right.
Wow, another 5.
Let's move on then to Taylor, who the audience gave a 4. And of the nominees, I do think that Taylor is currently the safest, but I do not think that she is safe. And for that reason, I feel inclined to give her a similar rating to Ashley, in that I don't think she's done a whole lot that's wrong. In fact, there's stuff that I think she's doing right. I do think she has stronger connections to Ashley. I do think she's more likely to stay than Ashley. But she is on the block. And I'm just not sure I can give her the same rating as a bunch of other people in the house at the moment. So I do think she's above Ashley for me, but still a 3, just like a higher 3 for me.
Oh, yeah, I'm between a 3 and a 4 because I feel like I like the conversations I hear her having, but a lot of them, I mean, nothing really solidifies her with anyone. I feel like it's like a lot of like good vibe conversations where it's like, oh, it feels like everyone's really vibing in this conversation, but there's nothing, they don't leave the conversation being like, okay, we're allies now. Okay, you're going to vote for me. Like, okay, we're good. And sometimes she does, but I just don't feel like the majority of the conversations I saw with her are like that. And that makes me nervous because I don't know what's going to happen once, like, let's say she sticks around. Where does she go from here? Because people are already forming alliances. They're already getting allies. And I don't know where she fits in. And that makes me nervous. So yeah, it's similar to Ashley in that way where it's like, I don't know where she goes if she stays.
It's a very good point. I mean, we talk about it all the time, but even if she does survive, just having been a week 1 nominee all week long is going to
Right.
severely hinder her game moving forward. It's going to be a hole that she needs to climb out of, even if she does survive.
Yeah, because people are going to want to be making alliances with people that they know are going to be there. And it feels pointless to make an alliance with someone who's probably not going to stick around or might not stick around. It just feels like a waste of time. So with Mallory now, it's like, okay, well, now she saved herself. So now we can start, planning stuff with her. But, Taylor and Ashley and Yash, it's like, now what? So yeah, I'm going to unfortunately give her a 3, but I hope that it goes higher.
Yeah, I too, I agree with y'all. I do think that it's going to be difficult for her to find where she lands if she does stay. But I think that as well, Taran, that I think of the 3 nominees, she is the safest. So she has a high potential to stay. However, on the other side of that, because it's going to be like she's a free agent, she could be easy to pick up. And so I think that if people see, especially the crossovers, if they see her as a potential number, then it's going to be like, hey, where else are you going to go? But here's 5 allies right here that can just kind of fall into your lap if they decide they want to kind of grow that side of the house, and if they become sides. So and then yeah, she is a have not this week, so she's not feeling her best. But I think I'm going to agree with the audience and give her a 4.
Yeah, I also think I worry both her and Ashley, if either or both of them stay, are also just so likely to end up being used as pawns again in the future, which is also something I think to be wary of there. But let's move on finally to Yash. Yash, who is, I think, the likeliest to leave right now. I'm not going to give much credence to the idea that he's more likely to win a blockbuster. The week 1 blockbuster has pretty consistently not been very physical, and therefore I think is theoretically something that any one of them could win, and he is the most likely to leave if he stays on the block. In addition to that, even though I don't think he's done that much wrong, he has probably done the most wrong between the 3 nominees in terms of his just lack of urgency and really just lack of knowledge. So ultimately, it's going to be kind of a harsh 2. I wish I could give him something a little higher because I don't think he really fully deserves that much, but it is his current position right now. And so Yash, for me, must be a 2.
Yeah, 2 for me as well. He'll probably go home unless he can save himself. And yeah, I just don't know if he's really putting in the work. I like him though. I feel like I'm entertained by him, but I just feel like it's not going to happen.
Yeah.
Yeah, I also am giving him a 2. It was concerning when he talked to Dee earlier today and was like, well, Dee and Drew, and he was saying, hey, if I'm asking people, am I good? They're telling me I'm good, then hey, I'm not gonna doubt that. It's like, hey, there, that's yeah, it's very surface level, and clearly they're telling you what you want to hear. So it's not great signs for just like your potential in the future if he were to get there. So
I do think he has the most ability to recover of the nominees if he does survive, for what it's worth. He's not somebody that I think will be used as a pawn as easily. And I don't think that he is somebody that, because of that, won't be thrown on the block quite as much potentially. But he will need to sort of step up his game. Either way, the audience agrees with us. They gave him a 2 as well, which lands him at a 2 overall, of course. That's it. That's the Stock Watch. We did it.
We did
17
it.
players.
Yay.
good job, gang.
Didn't take too long. That's not too long.
We did at the end up with an average of 4 here. We can see roughly somewhere in the 4s.
We made our way back.
Yeah, we found our way back.
Yes. I mean, listen, I think that's roughly where we want to be. Ultimately the nominees are going to weigh the average down slightly because they're going to be like every week there's guaranteed 3 nominees. So an average of 4 instead of 5 makes some good amount of sense. But yeah, interesting stuff. I think overall we're still pretty high on the cast in general in terms of their strategy. And really, it's like there's so many players in crossovers that are playing so well. It's really sort of limiting the level for everybody else in terms of their positioning. But I do think that many of them are playing decently well. Even the players in a bad position are not making big, obvious mistakes in ways that we've seen over the last couple of seasons. I really do feel like right now, at least, the level of play is pretty elevated from what we've been used to. So very interesting to see, I think.
Oh, for sure. I feel like a lot of the time it's like, okay, there's good people, there's medium people, and then there's like really bad people. And I don't really feel like we have any like really bad people. And if anything, like I don't really want anyone to go home at this point. Like all 3 of the nominees, I'm like, that's like, I could see them stick around. Like I'd be happy to have them stay. So it's, it's a good sign for the season. I just hope it stays that way.
Yeah. It's fun cast so far. So it'll be very interesting to see if things shake up or if we see one group dominate. So I'm excited.
All right. Well, I think that's what we've got then for the first roundtable of the season, just at around 2 hours. Not bad time-wise. We've done pretty
literally
well.
Not bad.
A large amount of things.
We've had 3 hours before, so
it's very true.
Much better.
Yeah. So that's about it. I'll, of course, be back tomorrow morning, 11 a.m. Eastern, to update you on everything that happens today and has happened today on the Big Brother 2028 live feeds.
Going back to BB28.
Stay tuned next week. We'll have another roundtable. I assume at roughly around the same time, but who knows exactly. I'll let you know, of course, ahead of time. There'll be another survey. There'll be more data to talk about. There'll be things to compare and see where the lines are going. It'll be very fun. Also, episode recaps happening all the time. I'm doing a mailbag episode for patrons of Rob as a Podcast with Rob. We'll be filming that tomorrow. I also have my own Patreon where I just finished watching Love Island. I watched the last 2 episodes and I'm genuinely not kidding, nearly threw up, and that's literal because of the gross challenge that happened.
Yeah.
So check out all the content happening on Patreon. I'm also streaming there during episodes, during feeds, watching those things with all of my patrons there. Aysha, what are you up to?
Well, a new season of Married at First Sight just started, season 20. So if you are watching Love Island and you're like, Big Brother is not enough, Married at First Sight is on Peacock as well. And season 20 is a big one. The premiere is already out, and it premiered this past Sunday, and there will be drops of episodes each week. We're in for a long haul. It'll be about 6 weeks of multiple episodes. So Jason Reed and I will be covering that on the We Know Dating Shows YouTube channel, as well as if you listen to the audio version, that'll be on the Love at First Sight feed. So it's already started out with a lot of drama. So tune in if you like Married at First Sight, or you ever watch Married at First Sight. It seems like it's going to be a really good season. Also, Jason Reed and I have a Patreon exclusive to our Married at First Sight bonus content. So you can go find that at patreon.com/aperfectmatchpodcast. Also, I have a podcast with my girlfriend called Life by Us, Life BI Us. We have a new podcast every single Sunday. So go find that on YouTube or anywhere you listen to audio podcasts. You can also find me on all social media at Aysha Like Asia. That's AYSHA like ASIA.
All right. Melissa, what's going on with you these days?
Oh, work, Callan, hanging out, that whole thing. Big Brother, obviously. You can find me on all social media. It's Melissa with 3 A's. I said it this time. But yeah, that's Big Brother is what's going on. So I'm excited to be back.
All right. Well, thank you all so much for being back here at the Roundtable. I appreciate all of course, my lovely panelists, guests, and as well as the audience who joins us every single week. So thank you all so much for joining, and we will see all of you next time.
This is RHAP. We know reality TV.